It started with a betrayal I could never have foreseen. My beloved Max was more than just a pet. He was my confidant, my solace in a world that often felt cold and unforgiving. When I found out what had happened, that cruel neighbor, Mr. Dalton, had deliberately hurt him, I was shattered. The pain was raw, visceral. I remember the humiliation more than the injury. Mr. Dalton didn't just harm Max, he broadcasted it. On social media, he gloated, mocking our grief with cruel means and snide comments. "Looks like the neighborhood's favorite has finally been put in his place," he wrote, reveling in my despair, while friends and colleagues saw the evidence of his malice. I was humiliated, cast aside by the community I thought I knew. Whispers followed me everywhere. They called me weak, a disgrace to my family. I wanted to disappear. For weeks I was broken, my grief drowned in shame, my anger simmering just beneath the surface. I felt powerless, discarded by a world that seemed to turn its back on me. But beneath the ache, something fierce was awakening. I realized I couldn't let his cruelty define me. I couldn't let his mockery be the end of my story. So I decided to leave the shadow of my pain behind and channel it into something stronger. I threw myself into advocacy, transforming my grief into a mission. I started small, educating neighbors about animal cruelty, sharing Max's story, and speaking at local events. The pain fueled my words. Every story, a scar, turned into a badge of resilience. I organized fundraisers, raised thousands for shelters, and built a movement rooted in compassion and justice. The community started to listen, to see me not as the broken girl they once dismissed, but as a leader who refused to be defeated. Years passed. I grew into someone unrecognizable from that fragile girl who once cowered in shame. My work gained recognition, and I became a voice for the voiceless, an advocate who commanded respect and solidarity. The community's doubts faded, replaced by admiration for my strength. And then, one evening, I returned to the neighborhood, not as a victim, but as a survivor, a victor. I stood in front of the same house where it all began, feeling the weight of that journey. The street was quiet, but my heart thundered. I faced the small crowd that had gathered, some old neighbors, some new allies. I saw Mr. Dalton's smirk falter as I stepped forward. I looked him in the eye and spoke, not with bitterness, but with unwavering conviction. "You thought you could break me with cruelty. You thought mocking my pain would silence me. But you only fueled my fight. Max's suffering awakened something in me, something unbreakable." The silence stretched, thick with unspoken truths. I knew I had turned my grief into a weapon, not of revenge, but of redemption. I had become unstoppable. The pain that once humiliated me now stood as a testament to my resilience. I was no longer the girl they dismissed. I was a force that refused to be silenced, a beacon of hope for those who still suffered in silence. In that moment, I realized that true justice isn't about revenge. It's about rising above, transforming your deepest wounds into a movement that changes lives. Max's memory propelled me to fight harder, to be better, to make sure no other pet or person would ever endure the cruelty I had. And as I walked away that night, I carried with me a quiet, powerful truth, that from the depths of despair, I had forged a strength no cruelty could shatter. I was finally free, resilient, victorious, and unbreakable.